We're live. Countdown. Hello, I am Willie Bragg. Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. And I want to discuss the State of the Union address by President Joe Manchin with Speaker Kevin McCarthy in the background and Vice President Kyrsten Sinema. And if people are confused by what I have to say, they're newcomers. I think people who know who I am, why I refer to President Joe Biden as Joe Manchin, and why I refer to Kamala Harris as Kyrsten Sinema, and why I refer to Nancy Pelosi as Kevin McCarthy. Because absurdity is a great way to illustrate truth. And so there is that. So I want to talk about Joe Biden's State of the Union address from the irrelevant right to the relevant left. And first, let's go with one of the worst people at the end of the day on the mainstream irrelevant right. And I'm going to, here's a spoiler alert for everyone. From the irrelevant right is Sean Hannity from Fox News. You can't get any more irrelevant and stupid and bullshit than Sean Hannity, with the with the worries that actually his worldview probably gets more mainstream discussion than anything else. Krystal from CNN. Most people would say he's a liberal, progressive. He's a joke, and I can guarantee you he's much closer to Sean Hannity than he would be, any self-respecting leftist out there. And then from the left, I'm going to give you Jackson Hinkle's take, a rising star on the online left. And I'll give you the take of Kyle Kulinski and Krystal. And that's how I'm going to go about it. So I'm not going to make it long. I'm going to try to make it as short as possible, because you got to realize I can be long-winded at times, and I try not to be. So I'm going to start with Sean Hannity. I'll probably speed it up where it's relevant to speed it up, just for the sake of time. So let me go ahead and we'll start with Sean Hannity. Let's see here. Okay, give me a moment and we'll start.
Such strength and clarity, and just like Joe's uninspiring State of the Union speech last night, instead of showing real leadership on the world stage, Joe basically read off a wish list of repackaged, build back, broke proposals, and he offered no plan to curb inflation, or no plan to lower gas prices, no plan to secure the border, no plan to reduce violent crime, no plan to counter China. And by the way, Taiwan, I would argue, keep a close eye on it. Probably not going to be that long. And he didn't even bother to mention the 13 U.S. soldiers who died as a result of his disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, or the Americans who have been trapped behind enemy lines. Today, by the way, is day 200. Joe abandoned them. And by the way, Joe and the media, they not only abandoned them, they turned the page and they've moved on. Pretty unforgivable. Now, Joe also didn't seem to have much of a plan to assist the people of Ukraine, but he did manage to call them Iranians, leaving the vice president a little bit embarrassed. Take a look.
Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom.
Ukrainian, Joe, not Iranian, Ukrainian. One of many awkward moments from a very simple speech. Frankly, one that could have been written by a fifth grader, that still proved too difficult for our struggling commander-in-chief. You decide.
We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks in the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, and a pound of Ukrainian people, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. You can't build a wall high enough to keep out a vaccine. The vaccine can stop the spread of these diseases. Man, assault weapons with high-capacity magazines hold up 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests? And may God protect our troops. Thank you. Go get him.
Go get him. Go get who? Trying to emulate Larry the Cable Guys, get her done? I mean, what was that all about?
Sean Hannity is not funny. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to touch on the main points that he talked about. Uninspiring? Absolutely, we'll agree with that. One thing I will agree with Sean Hannity on: Joe Biden is uninspiring. I like what the Amazing Atheist says. He said that Joe Biden is as exciting as a bowl of warmed over oatmeal on a cloudy day. That's even better. Now, as far as Build Back Better, the problem with Build Back Better is that it's not aggressive enough. It's a joke. It's been pissed away. Honestly, Build Back Better should have been done the way Bernie Sanders kind of had it presented, and probably even more bold than that. But at least with his plan, it would have been the most bold thing the U.S. government have done since the New Deal of FDR and Great Society's liberalism of LBJ. But that's that's Sean Hannity. He's not for the American people. He's for corporatism. Now, he's rather disabling about Taiwan. He is asking for a neoconservative foreign policy. I'm talking about Sean Hannity. Unfortunately, I think that Joe Biden just might be like, I agree with you, Sean. We should go to China. You are just trying to appease China, would say Sean Hannity. So, it's just a lot of these Democratic presidents end up treating the Republicans much better than their supposed allies. And on Afghanistan, leaving Afghanistan is a problem. 241,000 Americans die. Fuck Sean Hannity and the 13 Americans with the situation. Not fuck the 13 Americans, but fuck the John Hannity's take on Afghanistan. Because with regard to Afghanistan, 241,000 people die because of George W. Bush, because of Barack Obama, because of Donald Trump. And it's the only good thing he did was to pull out of Afghanistan. Of course, with regard to Joe Biden, he messed it up by increased bombings in Somalia, and it's business as usual as far as dealing with selling arms to Saudi Arabia, overseeing a genocide in Yemen that he never talks about because, Sean Hannity's okay with the neoconservatism. He's okay with the typical day-to-day life of the military-industrial complex. So, and then with regard to Iranian, instead of saying Ukrainian, that's a misspoke. Joe Biden is an idiot, but anybody can misspeak. And think of all the dumb shit that Trump said all these years. And every president have put their foot in their mouth unintentionally. Presidents I like and presidents that I despise. I mean, and the difference between someone like Sean Hannity and myself looking at it is I'm a grown-up. I'm not a partisan hack. And Sean Hannity is. So anyway, that's Sean Hannity's silly partisan take. Now let's talk about Chris Cecilia. I guess that's how you pronounce his name on CNN. Let's see if I can find it. I can find it. And hit and misses of Joe Biden's State of the Union address. And I am going to talk about Chris Cecilia's take momentarily. Let's see here. Okay. Forgive me, folks. I will say it again. I'm a one-man operation. Let's see. And we're going to go and make sure it's on a good speed because Chris Cecilia is an idiot and he's even, well, anyway. Listen to this clown here, and I'll share you my take in a moment.
It's too late for me to think of anything witty. not witty at this hour.
Because you're not.
President Joe Biden delivered his first State of the Union address on March 1st. It was a speech that came amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine and Biden's own lagging poll numbers in advance of the 2022 midterm elections. I watched the speech and the reaction to it and noted some of the best and the worst of the night that was. Let's start, because I'm a positive, optimistic guy, with what was good. Inviting the Ukrainian ambassador. So ever since Ronald Reagan first invited guests to the State of the Union, it's been an opportunity for presidents to strike memorable moments in the speech that often feels like a laundry list of policy priorities and long shots at that. Biden's decision to have the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States as a special guest of First Lady Joe Biden made for an early high point in his speech as the chamber, Democrats and Republicans, rose to their feet to cheer.
We, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people.
A history-making backdrop. For the first time ever, two women, Vice President Kamala Harris and Speaker Nancy Pelosi, sat behind the President of the United States for a State of the Union speech. It was a remarkable visual, and it was history. A return to normal. As the cameras panned the House chamber before Biden spoke, I couldn't see a single person wearing a mask. When the president walked in, maskless, he immediately began shaking hands. It felt like every State of the Union before the world heard the word COVID-19.
We're moving forward safely, back to more normal routines. Thanks to the progress we made in the past year, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives.
Those words had more meaning because the chamber in which Biden said them looked a lot like what we used to think of as normal. Fund the police. Democrats have been dogged with calls from their most liberal members to defund the police amid a series of high-profile shootings of people of color. The simple fact is that the American public has very little interest in pulling money away from police departments. Biden delivered a stirring rebuke to his party's base by insisting that
the answer is not to defund the police, it's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them.
The House exploded in applause, a rare moment of mostly bipartisan agreement. Stephen Breyer. Biden personally acknowledged the retiring Supreme Court justice who was treated to an extended applause for his years on the court. It was a rare moment of actual emotion in such a formal speech.
Thank you.
And if there were hits, well, there were swings and misses too. Let's go through those. Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. So Colorado's Boebert and Georgia's Greene, two of the most prominent members of the House Freedom Caucus, turned their backs as Biden's cabinet was introduced and took their seats in the House chamber, which is, well, lame. Whether or not you agree with them or any administration, it's at least worth being polite as a way to honor the cabinet service for the country. Later, Boebert loudly interjected as Biden was talking about the death of his son, Beau, from brain cancer. The work from home crowd. Biden made clear in the speech that he believed it was time for people to begin going back to work regularly following 2 years of COVID-19 related changes to the workplace.
It's time for America to get back to work and fill our great downtowns again with people. People working from home can feel safe and begin to return to their offices.
The Iranian people. As Biden wrapped up the first section of his speech dedicated to the Russian invasion, he sought to praise the Ukrainians, except that he said Iranian people.
Putin may circle Kyiv with thanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people.
I know what he meant, but, well, it took a little something away from the moment. The Schumer stand. The Senate Majority Leader leapt to his feet to applaud Biden's touting of his economic plan, except he sort of mistimed the applause.
The American Rescue Plan helped working people.
Look, man, we've all been there. And that is a wrap. It is also the point. We make new plan episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. I hope you check them all out.
As I said, Chris D'Celia's an idiot. He's very much what CNN is, a great representation, which means he's a fucking idiot. Now, he talks about Kamala Harris, being a woman of color as the vice president, and Nancy Pelosi being Speaker of the House, white female. Okay, ID poll. I don't care about identity politics. I care about ideology. Now, if Kamala Harris or her predecessor, a pasty white piece of shit like Mike Pence, or if Nancy Pelosi or a pasty white piece of shit like someone like Newt Gingrich, either way, if they all have policies that would actually embrace policies that will actually provide more medical care for people free of charge to the American people, or have the jobs program that will provide living wage, unionized jobs and expand it over the population and make lives better, I would not care if someone like Newt Gingrich or, as the Speaker of the House, or Mike Pence as Vice President were pasty old white men. I would not care if current Vice President Kamala Harris, a woman of color, or Nancy Pelosi, a generic white woman, I would not care what their identity were either, because ideology overrides identity. I want equality no matter who you are. I don't care what color you are. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care. All I care about is policy. That is all I care about. And so now let's talk about masks. Who the fuck cares about masks? We're on the cusp of World War III. We're on the cusp of World War III. We're on the cusp of World War III. I think nuclear annihilation is a little more of a concern than whether people wear masks or not. And frankly, if you got your vaccine and you're, especially if you're vaccinated, I just think, who cares at this point? At this point, I'm not going to say we defeated COVID, but I've always thought that mask should have been voluntary. That is my position. Anybody who's quote unquote on the left, they're like getting mad at me over that. Just get over it. So that's where I stand when it comes to the mask mandate. Now, the defund the police. Okay, I understand what defund the police meant, and I support it in concept. I also acknowledge that there were negative optics to defund the police, because people thought, and people actually really think that, oh my God, no Democrats are going to try to get rid of the police. And that's not what defund the police meant. It is basically talking about rehabilitation and having social services around to kind of do preventive measures to make sure there's a curb on crime. Not that we had a great criminal justice system, but prior to Ronald Reagan becoming president, there was an emphasis, especially from the days of the Great Society till about the time of Ronald Reagan becoming president, that there was an emphasis on rehabilitation, and there was an emphasis on trying to forgive people once they paid their debt back into society. And call me old-fashioned, but that's kind of what I like to go back to. Not that it was great, and there were imperfections and there were flaws in the system, but I definitely think that this law and order, get tough on crime that started on Reagan's watch and continue under Bill Clinton and Joe Biden as a senator, because they were scared of being called pussies and being scared to be soft on crime, that they went to Reagan's right with the crime bill of 1994. And we have an unforgiving society where, they're just ready to, you do something wrong, you could potentially be fucked over for life, and as that's the problem right there. Now, with regard to Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, my position on them. Fuck them, fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene, fuck Lauren Boebert, just fuck them. And the Iranians reference that he also pointed out to, Sean Hannity pointed out to, who cares? Everybody misspeaks. I already mentioned that already. So there's that. So now let's go to where everything is relevant now. And that's what I am planning to do. If you're not aware, and I think most people in my audience is aware, they are aware. Sorry of my grammar. They are aware that Jackson Hinkle is one of the rising stars on the online left. And I've grown accustomed to listening to his program almost every night. So if you're not subscribed to Jackson Hinkle's The Dive, I highly recommend for you to do so. He gave his take on the State of the Union address. I will play a portion of it, and then I'll give you my take.
Stationed near Baghdad, just yards from burn pits the size of football fields. Danielle is here with us tonight. They love going to Ohio State football games. And they love building Legos with their daughter. But cancer from prolonged exposure to burn pits ravaged Heath's lungs and body. Danielle says Heath was a fighter to the very end. He didn't know how to stop fighting. and neither did she. Through her pain, she found purpose to demand that we do better. Tonight, Danielle, we are going to do better. The VA is pioneering new ways of linking toxic exposure to disease, already helping more veterans get benefits. And tonight, I'm announcing we're expanding eligibility to veterans suffering from 9 respiratory cancers. I'm also calling on Congress to pass a law to make sure veterans devastated by toxic exposure in Iraq and Afghanistan finally get.
I made a mistake. I'm sorry, folks. Give me a second. I know where I made my mistake. All right. I played the wrong video. My apologies. Please forgive me. Can y'all ever forgive me? Is that it? That's not it. I am so sorry. Let me do that. Hold on. I am played the wrong video. Of course, you can see, to save face, you can see how uninspiring Joe Biden is. I was trying to play the Jackson Hinkle video. So my apologies. So let me go and find that portion. Here we go. Give me a moment. Is that it? That should be it. That should be it. Come on. Why? Okay. Yeah, that's it. Okay. I will play that portion and I will comment.
Half a dozen or less foreign-owned companies raised prices by as much as 1,000% and made record profits. Tonight, I'm announcing a crackdown on those companies overcharging American businesses and consumers. Folks, and as Wall Street firms take over more nursing homes, quality in those homes has gone down and costs have gone up. That ends on my watch. Medicare is going to set higher standards for nursing homes and make sure loved ones get the care they deserve and that they inspect and they will look at closely. We're also going to cut costs to keep the economy going strong and giving workers a fair shot, provide more training and apprenticeships, hire them based on skills, not just their degrees. Let's pass the Paycheck Fairness Act and paid leave. Raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour and extend the child tax credit so no one has to raise a family in poverty. Let's increase Pell Grants, increase our historic support for HBCUs, and invest in what Jill, our First Lady who teaches full-time, calls America's best kept secret, community colleges. Look, let's pass the PRO Act. When a majority of workers want to form a union, they shouldn't be able to be stopped.
They're never going to pass that.
Invest in our workers and we build an economy.
I would be willing, if I could bet on this, I'd be willing to put my last penny on the fact that they will never pass that in this administration.
For 2 years, COVID has impacted every decision in our lives and the life of this nation. And I know you're tired, frustrated, and exhausted. That doesn't even count the close to 1 million people who sit at a dining room table or a kitchen table and look at an empty chair because they lost somebody. But I also know this. Because of the progress we've made, because of your resilience and the tools that we have been provided by this
Snake.
Tonight I can say we're moving forward safely back to more normal routines. We've reached a new moment in the fight against COVID-19, where severe cases are down to a level not seen since July of last year. Just a few days ago, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention issued a new mask guidelines.
How many more people have died with COVID under the Biden administration compared to the Trump administration? I'm curious.
Projections.
Okay, give me a second. I will be right back. There we go. Yeah, and Jackson Hinkle brought up a very good point that if Joe Biden was worth his fiber, he would not just give lip service to the Protect the Right to Organize Act, that he would push for it if he has to arm twist. Well, he didn't exactly say that, but I'm pretty sure that's his mindset too. That you have to go and twist arms and make sure that the PRO Act will pass, because that piece of legislation under Joe Biden's watch, just like the Employee Free Choice Act under Obama, if it would have passed, would have made tremendous transformative strides to bettering the lives of the American people. Because when you have more unions in the private and the public sector, you're going to have natural high wages across the board. And high wages are going to be meaning more middle-class people, and even jobs that are not unionized, even if PRO Act passes, or even if under Obama, if the free employee choice act would have passed, the fact that there would have been more unions in the private and public sector, guess what that would have meant for those jobs, even down in the South, where they hate the unions? Well, you know what that would have meant? That would have meant that, oh my God, I better raise wages of these employees. I better start treating these people better, giving them better benefits, or that union's going to come right in. The union will put the fear of God into the companies that are not unionized. That is the beauty of unions. It helps unionized workers. It helps people in the non-union sector, because bosses, corporations themselves will fear it. They would actually fear the union coming in. I want corporations to be scared of the unions. You know, and then he called Elizabeth Warren a snake. For those that do not know, and I agree with Jackson Hinkle, Elizabeth Warren is a fucking snake. Why? Because she backstabbed Bernie Sanders. Not just once, not just twice, 3 fucking times. In 2015, he asked her to run for the presidency, and she declined. Choosing between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, she decided to go on the losing train and back Hillary Clinton, because she thought that Hillary Clinton was going to choose her as her running mate, or she would have had a spot in the administration. Well, she was not Hillary Clinton's running mate. And I really doubt that Elizabeth Warren would have been in a quote-unquote spot in the Hillary Clinton administration had she won. In 2020, I could forgive Elizabeth Warren for 2016 for what she did. I mean, people can calculate. Even the best among us can make calculations, and they can come out wrong. But the fact that in 2020, she went and accused Bernie Sanders of being a sexist. And when Bernie Sanders said what he said, she got ugly with him. And the damn Karen, the damn bitch, caught in his face and said, "You call me a liar. You call me a liar." Bitch, you called Bernie Sanders a liar. You slandered Bernie Sanders, accusing him of sexism. A man who's been in the forefront of feminism from the earliest days of his activism. There is nobody more feminist friendly in the U.S. Senate than Bernie Sanders. And then, when all the other Democrats were running out, dropping out of the race, Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg and all of them, and that idiot in Texas, Beto O'Rourke, endorsed Joe Biden because of the phone calls Barack Obama made, and Jim Clyburn doing his thing down in South Carolina, and then Elizabeth Warren staying in the race just long enough to fuck Bernie Sanders in Massachusetts. Damn right she's a fucking snake. Fuck Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, fuck Elizabeth Warren. So, yeah. So that's what Jackson Hinkle meant when he talked about referring to what's her name? Elizabeth Warren as a snake. She is a fucking snake. She really is. So What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and let me get to breaking points, because breaking points, let's find breaking points. There we go. Let's see. Let's do this here. Give me a moment. Okay, we're on breaking points. Let me find that video, because that was a part of the video I was going to play a few moments ago, and it just didn't quite work out that way. Hold on, it's the State of the Union address. Here we go. If there's a commercial, fuck commercials, fuck you commercial, fuck you ad. I'm gonna have to get an ad blocker. Let me find that video real quick. Okay, right there. Okay, found it. And I'm going to play you a section of Krystal and Kyle and Sugar, everybody from Breaking Points, discussing the Joe Biden address, and I'm going to give you my take on it momentarily. Here we go.
Danielle is here with us tonight. They love going to Ohio State football games.
Boring, boring, boring.
They love building Legos with their daughter. But cancer from prolonged exposure to burn pits ravaged Heath's lungs and body. Danielle says Heath was a fighter to the very end. He didn't know how to stop fighting, and neither did she. Through her pain, she found purpose to demand that we do better. Tonight, Danielle, we are going to do better. The VA... Go!
I'm sorry, folks. I'm trying to get it in the correct part. But again, I'm going to save face.
Because it relates to your discussion.
I'm going to save face and let y'all know why Biden, how sucky his speeches were. That's my.
Well, it should.
Those are really important there in terms of both the NATO commitment that's being watched obviously in the Kremlin, and then the second one in terms of trying to allay the concerns there. But I think, for all of us, I guess let's just start, Kyle, with you. What are some of the top recollections from, obviously Ukraine was the top news, but general breakdown of the speech, I think it clocked in around an hour and 10 minutes, on the shorter side of a State of the Union. What were your general impressions here?
So I got two things that I thought were very negative, and then one thing that I thought was positive.
Sure.
The negatives are he was stumbling and bumbling a lot. Optics.
No taking away from that.
Listen, it's hard to watch. There's just no denying that.
Yeah, so that was a negative. The other negative thing was, especially in the second half of the speech, it was just a lot of standard politician fluff. I was getting so aggravated because he was going down basically his list of Build Back Better agenda items, and he was saying, we got to do this, we should do this, we should do that. You didn't get Build Back Better passed. You didn't propose standalone bills on that. You didn't break out your executive order pen to do any of that. So it's just literally a virtue signal speech. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And so I was really frustrated. It's almost like the more you know about politics, then the more angry you get, because you're like, I know that this is all just fake and theater, and it's not like we're actually going to do these things.
Yeah.
But I will say the one positive thing is the speech was, especially for the first half or so after the Ukraine stuff, it was very populist. So he did sort of lean in on we got these new factories now opening up in Ohio and in Michigan, semiconductor factories and some other factories. And you made the comment, Sagar, as we were watching, like that's exactly something Trump would have done.
Yeah, it was a great idea.
And that is smart politics. I love how he leaned into the Buy America stuff. So the only positive stuff is it was a lot more populist than I thought it would be, but the negatives, again, stumbling and bumbling and just standard politician fluff.
Yeah,
Before we get to Marshall, because it relates to your discussion there of how he did lean into some populist rhetoric around, bringing jobs back home, Made in America. He said, we want to see that Made in America stamp. He talked about the PRO Act. It's always something that I'm looking for. He highlighted a union steel worker who was in the audience. He also made a sort of populist contrast between the Democratic COVID relief plan and the Republican corporate tax cuts, which went largely to the 1%, that was not received well by the Republicans in the audience. But I actually think this may have been one of the best moments for Biden of the State of the Union speech. Let's take a listen to that.
Okay, well, let's go back to that. Let's go back to Kyle and Krystal. First of all, I want to say congratulations. I hope you two are happy. Many of us on the left sort of suspected there was something going on there. So anyway, now Joe Biden, Kyle Kulinski talks about Joe Biden stumbling. It's true. Joe Biden did trip over his words. I think all 5 people rather. I think that Sean Hannity and Chris Cecilia and Jackson Hinkle, Kyle Kulinski, and Krystal Ball will all agree that he stumbled. And that's not really a partisan opinion because, Joe Biden is a doddering old fool. So that's taken care of. But Kyle Kulinski was correct about the standard Democratic talking points. It does get tiresome. Even if it's little stuff you agree with, it gets tiresome because you just wanted them to do more than just sit there and say, well, Republicans don't suck. Democrats don't suck and Republicans suck. Build Back Better. There was a lot of virtue signaling, and I agree with that. And a lot of this shit could have been taken care of with an executive order. It could have been taken care of with an executive order. Things like, if it's possible, things like the PRO Act, executive order the shit out of that. Medicare for all might not have been. I don't know if you could do Medicare for all as an executive order. I do know Joe Biden said he's not for it. Unfortunately, I believe he's sincere. And any Republican out there, it'll be like, no, he really wants that Medicare for all. He really wants it. I'm going to tell you, folks, he really wants it. He wants it just as bad as Bernie. No, fuck y'all when y'all say that. No, when Joe Biden and corporate Democrats tell you no Medicare for all, you can take it to the bank. They mean it. And I don't know if you can do Medicare for all with an executive order, but I think you could probably do Medicare, drop Medicare eligibility age down to 60 or 55 or 50, even better with a pen. I think it would be less controversial. I think you could take your case to the American people. I personally, I hate to defend public option. I hate to defend the idea of dropping age eligibility because. And I'm almost hate to talk about defending Medicare for all concept because I favor a national health service like they have in Great Britain. I want a raw socialist approach toward health care. And for all the people out there, whether you're a Republican who are scared of anything that Democrats do is socialism, or if you're a corporate Democrat and you're scared of being a socialist, stop it. I'm not a socialist. Those people. Medicare for all isn't socialized medicine. And honestly, if we had a normal Overton window of what defines as the left and right in the United States, the Democratic Party would not be to the right of the British Conservative Party on healthcare and probably a few other issues. The Democratic Party would not be to the right of the Christian Democratic Union in Germany or the Union for a Popular Majority in France. The Democratic Party would not be there. The Democratic Party would be where the British Labour Party is, or where the Social Democrats in Sweden are, or where the Socialists in France. That's where it should be naturally if we had a normal Overton window. But as I said, even the public option is considered a radical left position. The public option should be an ultra-conservative position where Medicare for all should be considered a moderate conservative position or conservative liberal position, like a conservative Democrats and moderate Republicans in a normal country with a normal Overton window would favor Medicare for all. Your hardcore right-wing nut jobs like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert be like, no, we should just only do a public option. And the squad Bernie Sanders squad, and maybe a few other Democrats think, no, we should go with a national health service. That would be, in other words, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert would favor a public option in a normal country with a normal Overton window. And someone like, I don't know, I'll say, Liz Cheney and a Mitt Romney would favor Medicare for all. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, someone like that. Even a Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, even though I can't stand them, they would favor Medicare for all. And someone like Bernie Sanders in the squad would favor a national health service. That would be normal. But we can't have that. And anyway, I'm pontificating. Kyle Kulinski was wrong about, he was not wrong, but I think he over-exaggerated how populist Joe Biden is. I don't think he's a Biden bro like some people claim, but he's a little more pro-Biden lately than I'm comfortable with. But he was still correct that it was a lot of virtue signaling, and bragging about some union jobs and factories here and there. That's virtue signaling, and it's sort of the same way like Courier under Trump. And remember, Trump bribed to keep the Courier plant. What was it? Indiana still there, only for them to go and close down later on. Now, Krystal, she was commenting on the Build Back Better and emphasis on unions and everything. And all of that is appreciated. But the thing of it is that Joe Biden needs to not just give it lip service. Giving it lip service is easy. I mean, honestly, it shouldn't even be controversial to try to enact it, because what would happen if you try to enact that? We become a normal democracy. We wouldn't be the armpit of the West, a sweaty armpit, a sweaty, unwashed armpit of the West. And unfortunately, that's what we are. So that is my take on everybody, the major media people, whether we're talking about people on the TV or on the online community. And I could go on about everybody else's take, but we'll be all afternoon doing that. So, and I got to get some sleep this afternoon, and I have to go to the gym later on. I didn't do a video yesterday because yesterday was Ash Wednesday, and I had my ashes on my forehead, and I don't want to make my program look too religious, and it would just be too awkward. So there you have it. But let's see here. We got Radical Leftist Agenda. Hi, how are you? I know you're at work right now. We were discussing that earlier, and hopefully you'll be online tonight with your Twitch stream. And anybody who's not familiar with Radical Leftist Agenda, she has a very based Twitch stream. I am going to put down her link. Please subscribe to her channel on Twitch if you don't have it. And she's on YouTube as well. She usually puts her Twitch streams on YouTube. So I'm going to put down her Twitch and her YouTube link. Please subscribe to them both, because she's got a really based program. Ben L. Willie Spitting. I got a little bit excited about my politics. She didn't even get a spot in the administration. You're right, and I know that I know you're referring to Elizabeth Warren, and that was that was horrible on Joe Biden's part. But then again, shall I weep a tear for Elizabeth Warren? I call her the snake myself to this day. I'll never forgive Elizabeth Warren. I mean that. Let's see. I watched Katie and Burrell's drinking game during the speech. I was actually at work that night, so I wasn't able to watch it. And even if I was, hey, dirtbag leftist, by the way, even though I would have been available, I probably would have, I would have probably watched it on the online left, or just skip the evening and watch highlights of it later on. That's what I would have done. So let's see here. Damn, I should have watched that. If you're referring to the breaking points, yeah, I highly recommend Breaking Points because even Chagar and Genty, even though I find myself largely in disagreement with him politically, I mean, I do have to respect him because he's probably the only major conservative figure in the United States that truly represents the populist right in a way that it should be represented. Calling yourself populist right, like some conservatives do, while defending corporatist policies, is not being populist. Although there are some libertarian types who are anti-war, anti-surveillance state, and all that, but they need to put their money where their mouth is, and they need to be for the little guy and the little guy and the little gal, shall I say? And there's that. If you can't be, if you're going to be that way, that's going to just make you really just almost a Democrat in a way. You can't bring yourself to supporting healthcare and expanding union rights. That's the only way you're going to be populist, right or left or center, honestly. So anyway, if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree with what I have to say, please comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. And when you like, apparently that does help with the algorithm. So please do press like. And let's see. Feel free to share the content on this channel. Also, subscribe and hit that notification bell. And until next time, we have a class struggle to wage because there's no war quite like the class war. That's the war I wage, class warfare, because that's the kind of guy I am. And remember, we're all Julian Assange. Y'all take care.